Hello and welcome everyone to episode 53 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
How's it going, everybody? I'm, of course, the English letterer for manga like Dragon Ball Super and Kaiju number 8 and dozens more, and I'm just ready to talk about some One Piece today. I had a blast with the chapters this week.
We're definitely getting into some fun stuff with this set, and
yeah,
I couldn't help but also compare it to, because we mentioned before that this would have been our 50th episode if we didn't include the movies.
Yeah.
And I think I feel better about ending with Bellamy getting punched.
Look, that is one of the greatest episode 50s I think we ever could have had. There's
definitely a satisfying ending here, but I think there's enough, like, it also kind of wraps up things.
Yeah, exactly.
With that 50. This one, there's a lot of loose threads as Otis sort of like planting seeds everywhere.
Yeah, yep. It's all like the gears are just starting to turn. I'm remembering more and more as I'm going through this, and I'm starting to see where everything kind of comes together.
There's certain clues that popped up. I'm like, oh yeah, that is a thing about this. And
yeah, exactly. It's so good.
Yeah,
we should get the ball rolling.
Oh yeah, there you go. Well, let's do that with chapter 246, Satori, Vassal of the Forest of No Return. And our cover page is, it's weird to see Luffy so calm.
Yeah, he's meditating. He's got a cat on his head.
It's very cute, but it's weird that he's calm. I don't know. I'm a little disturbed by it, to be honest.
He's just not up to mischief for once.
Yeah. Although I do like how this bird is getting ready to assassinate Usopp, basically.
Yeah, he's holding a rock with his wings.
Yeah,
it's real good.
Because Usopp's getting ready to disturb Luffy's peace, and the bird's like, "Oh no, you don't."
What a silly little scenario.
Yeah, it is. But hey, it's time to meet these 4 vassals, as each of them are heavily shaded, almost like from Heaven's Light. Basically, ominous dialogue.
Yeah.
Although we've seen 3 of the 4. There's the one at the very top is the only one we haven't seen properly yet.
Right, they were all in that scene where they were chasing the other guy.
Basically, it's just better set up for the whole fact that, right, Luffy and the others were having to choose a challenge that they have to go through.
Right.
Swamp.
4 vassals, 4 challenges?
I think that makes sense. Swamp, Iron, String, and Ball. What did we choose? Ball, because it sounds fun and harmless.
Yes. Sounds harmless.
Uh-huh. I will say that it does feel like there's some clunky dialogue here, but with Sanji saying, "But stay alert, we're in the upper yard, 33,000 feet above sea level. Anything could happen." It's like
anything could happen.
I mean, thanks for reminding us of the height there, Sanji.
It's like that would only be a problem if they fell from a really from a large height, which
I guess that is true. That it is further set up for the joke here, where but they also say 33,000 feet again. It's like just repeated needlessly.
It's one of those like, boy, it sure would be bad.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a trick where instead of like us challenging each of the vassals, there's only one right answer, and all the others dump us out back into the blue sea, 33,000 feet down. They go through. There's a massive drop, and I love that bottom right panel of the teeth coming out of Usopp. Everybody's eyes
that
popping
cracked
out.
me up.
That is so good.
I don't know if we ever actually touch back on this, but like, I wonder what the other exits would have had.
That is a good question.
Were they all actually traps, or like did they get lucky or unlucky? Even after reading all the chapters, I'm not.
I always assumed that it would be basically like what we get with Satori, except involving the others.
Yeah, I guess that's true. As we'll see later, they all have their kind of like territory.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. But hey, they survived the fall somehow, because that is a massive drop, and
yeah, and somehow the boat survives.
Right.
I mean, it's clouds, but still.
Yeah. I mean,
terminal velocity is a thing.
There is such a thing, but I do like that Luffy's laughing, and it's like, I thought I was going to die.
Which is, I mean, I feel like that is sort of the laughing in the face of danger is just very in character for him.
Oh, yes. But then they finally noticed that there's a lot of balls around here. These balls made of island cloud just hovering all over the place. It's like, what's the challenge? It's like, oh, maybe it's just harmless and we get to sail through, no problem. We chose correctly.
Yeah, hey.
And Sanji's like, nah, this is definitely some sort of trap. They wanted to punish us, so this seems too easy if we just happen to choose
Throughout
right.
this whole sequence, it's funny to have Sanji be the one who's kind of he's the one holding the brain cells for pretty much like this whole scene.
He kind of has. It kind of reminds me of when him and Luffy were together back in the Baratier.
Yeah.
Where he gets to show off his serious side while Usopp and Luffy enjoy crackers and play with the balls.
Yep.
Instead of keeping lookout. But hey, when they touch one of the balls, a giant snake comes down and tries to bite Usopp's face. But fortunately, Luffy with the save, but sheesh.
He just kicks it away. There's something about that panel that just makes me laugh. He's like, get lost.
And Sanji's like, oh, no more snakes, so get away this ball. He tries to kick it away and it explodes on them.
So this is we have our gachapon almost, where it's like, you never know what you're going to get, inside these balls.
I never thought about that, but I guess it is a gacha game. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh. Lucky us, but apparently they're surprise clouds as we get properly introduced to Satori of the forest. And as Luffy says, he's a ball himself. Like he is
he's a very round man.
That's a very odd design. But I also like that Usopp points out he looks kind of stupid.
Oda knows. Self-awareness is great. Yeah. It's like, okay. I mean, of the just even based off of like what we saw of the Vassals in Shadow, like he's definitely the least kind of intimidating looking one, so it makes sense that we're going to go for him first. He's the most silly looking,
right? It definitely feels like the case. And he starts taunting them and whatnot, and he's basically like, your friends are basically going to die, but you better worry about yourselves because you have to defeat me to get out of here. And he starts bouncing all around. He's like, all right, Luffy, get him. And
just all right.
And that's when Satori points out, like, oh, you can stretch before Luffy even does his gum pistol, successfully dodges it and uses some sort of facepalm maneuver to send Luffy flying back into a tree and kind of getting a good hit on Luffy that we haven't seen since Crocodile, really.
Yeah, I don't quite know what this is about. Yeah, we see this technique a few times in the set of chapters, but it is just one of those like, oh, what's this thing that he can do?
Yeah, like somehow they're able to predict movements. Like they can know what their enemies are going to do. And they have this hand technique, which I think I have a vague idea of what the hand technique actually is, but I'm not going to reveal it just because I'll wait for the manga to do that thing. I can't just do the speculation as if I've never read it before. So
actually, the more I think about it, the more I think I know what it is. But we'll get to it when we get to it. However, the mind reading thing is interesting, as Satori just kind of calls it out, as Sanji's coming in here for the attack, and he's like, he's like head kick, right leg, and is just able to move out of the way.
Yeah, he calls it mantra, a power granted only to the faithful, and uses it to just knock out Sanji in the same way that, of course, Usopp. And apparently it destroys the body, starting with the spinal cord. This whole move. Jeez.
Yeah, it just sends them flying.
Painful.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, just kind of right off the bat, like, they're kind of getting trounced.
Yeah, I honestly forgot about this. I thought they handled this guy, like, no problem, because usually it's, like, the first guy they go up against, like what we saw with Baroque Works, and no issue, we took care of him. But no, this guy's actually giving them some trouble, which definitely threw me off. The idea here is we got a time limit as well, because he knocks them all off the boat, and then he sets the boat to go on its own.
Basically, it'll go into the forest of no return. It's like, yeah, good luck with that, fighting it after that point.
And he's like, I'm not letting you guys out because you're in the forest of no return and only 10% survive the challenge of the ball. So, Yep. And that's our chapter. I mean, again, it's mostly fights and setting up Satori, but there is enough intrigue here. Is like, what are they doing with his hand, and how does he read minds with this mantra? Like, what is that all about?
It's so interesting that this is where it gets set up, because we see it a couple more times in the next 4 chapters, and it's I don't know. It definitely had me like, okay, let's see where this goes.
Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, not explained yet. That's the other thing. I was waiting for it to get a full explanation because I'm so used to shonen villains being
like, let me explain my power to you.
This is how this works.
And it's interesting the things that that Oda does choose to explain, and it's sort of kind of the part that's most immediately relevant is that, like, hey, don't let the boat get away.
Yeah,
is the most important part. The rest we can figure out later.
But let's go ahead and get to chapter 247, Ball Challenge, as we return to Wapol in his post-escape stupor where he's still very much destitute and trying to emulate the little match girl. Not going so well for him as he is...
Not great.
He's in the snow. He's lost his shoe. He is dirty as all get out. He seems...
Getting peed on again.
Smaller. Yeah, I love that this dog's just constantly peeing on him. It's the same dog from before.
Keep it up. You're doing great.
The dog has drank a lot. So there we go. There's more of Wapol, and you know what? I still have no pity for him.
Nope.
But yeah, we get back to it with them facing off Satori. I love this dynamic pose. We see the clouds go around, all the balls all around, and we just get, I don't know, Luffy's shirt swaying out. It's like, there's something cool about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of sort of like background foreground going on here where it's just the shot has a lot of layers to it, and just a lot of like the way that the objects overlap does a really good way of portraying depth.
It's very impressive, and they immediately come up with a strategy. It's pretty interesting. Usopp's like, "Hey, I'll keep an eye on the boat. Sanji, you protect Usopp. I'm gonna try." And Luffy's like, "I'm gonna try to take down this Satori and take care of all of this." And
makes sense.
Yeah, all works, except, he can still predict movement, so he easily catches the pistol and slams Luffy into a tree. Like, oof.
Yeah, not going great. Yeah, it's funny, just sort of straight off, we're like, all right, we got a plan. Luffy, you take care of this guy. And then, Luffy immediately gets bodied, and Satori's like, well, what about the other two?
Yeah, he, like, literally plants him in the tree. Like, he's struggling to get out, his arm whips back. It's like, well, that did not go well.
All right.
And Usopp found the ship and is pointing it to Sanji to catch up to it and take care of it. In the meantime, Satori bounces a ball, seemingly at Sanji, but no, it bounces all around and instead goes for Usopp. And he's like, oh no, I'm the target, and backs up. It's going to blow up, and it's just a flower.
It's a dud.
It's a dud. But it still works because Usopp let go of the tree and he falls down and takes some major damage.
You fool.
Oh, Usopp.
Which, this is sort of, it's the great thing, again, of Sanji being the character with the brain cells in this fight, where he's the one just kind of like, oh, you idiot. But at both Luffy and Usopp, it's just like, can you guys just think for 1 second?
Please, just go easy on it. It's like make this actually work. But Luffy's going for it again with the Gum Gun Gatling. I do like how he actually jumps off one of the balls here in the background, and you see a crocodile coming out trying to attack him, but he just ignores it.
Oh, I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, it's just, there you go. He's like, and the problem is with the Gum Gun Gatling is, one, Satori still dodges it, and two, Luffy hits a lot of balls around, which...
And it's just, all right, all manner of nonsense. We've gotten we got the snake, we got the bomb, we got the the flower dud and the crocodile. It's sort of like, at that point I feel like you're kind of like, you're aware that just anything could be in these.
Mm-hmm. And I love how Oda plays with it. Like, one has a bunch of spears, one has a crab, one just has a series of birds that like do like a series of squawking, like squawk, 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 and then they all proceed to peck at Usopp.
Yeah, Luffy's on fire.
Yeah, Luffy got set on fire. Then he gets bit by a fish in the river, but then which sets the fish's mouth on fire because it's so hot, and he falls through the clouds because
this chapter is bonkers.
Yeah, and I love how, like, it's not just Zoro.
Yeah,
Luffy has to do the Tarzan.
I remembered that the Tarzan joke happened more than once, but I wasn't sure if that was the anime dragging it out, and I didn't remember when it came up again. But I'm glad.
I did not remember it coming back, but I'm so glad it did.
Yeah.
Which inspires Usopp. Which, again, great background detail that Usopp defeated the birds with his Usopp hammer and has them all knocked out behind him.
Just knocked him out with a hammer.
Good on you, Usopp. But he's like, all right, I have my Usopp, and sees this ship and uses this belt to latch onto the branch and swing over to the ship.
Belt.
He's does the call, ready to make it, and the rope gets stuck. He can't get it off the belt.
Just that sort of slow panel of like, he reaches it and then he's just like, oh, it's stuck, and then he just swings backwards.
and the entirety of the joke is Sanji's just looking at him again, you idiots. So he beats them up. It's like, all right, let's just forget this. Forget about the ship. Right now, the three of us need to. And all of a sudden, Satori out of nowhere just bam, right in the chest, which, man, that face on Sanji, the blood leaking out of his nose and mouth. Like,
I mean, he said it goes for the spine.
Oh, that is a brutal looking hit. Like, I feel for Sanji with that one. I don't think I've felt for a Sanji hit since really the Baratier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it for that. It's just one down, two to go. And I thought that was going to be the end of the chapter, but...
Yeah, me too.
Instead, we get a mini flashback where Nami's doling out who gets to use the whistle. And Luffy, of course, wants to blow it for fun.
He won. Yep.
And Usopp's like, hey, I'm the weakest. And Chopper's like, no, I'm the weakest. And Robin's like, why are you arguing who the weakest is? I do like how Nami decides, like, all right, that's all right. We're just going to hang it in the mast in the middle of the ship. That way, if any of us gets in trouble, we know where to find it. Got it? Except for you four that can actually fight. You're not allowed to use it.
So it's there, but you don't use it.
Yeah. This isn't for you. But hey,
that's great.
We did leave Chopper alone last time, and he's like, oh, the whistle. I should hold on to this just in case there's an emergency. That way the Sky Knight can come save us. And then immediately another one of the Vassals comes and he starts blowing it immediately.
Yeah, I love that transition of just him turning around, just that last face.
Yeah, it's like you can almost see it animated where he's like he sees it, calmly turns because he even has the extra eyelashes, like almost cutely, and then just panic whistle. It's like, oh god,
poor Chopper.
Second time, not in a row, but second time we've ended with Chopper in a pure panic state.
Yes.
There was an SBS, but honestly nothing too major. Mostly joke stuff. So we'll just continue on and get to chapter 248. Former Kami versus Vassal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is the good stuff. Even more good stuff. We have Wapol under a bridge just filled with a bunch of junk as he's just like eating old robots and toys and stuff.
Old toys. And still getting peed on.
Yeah, still getting peed on by that one dog. And
he followed him.
Yeah. Hey, at least he found his shoe as well. So that's something. Life is suffering for Wapol, which good. Yeah. I can't emphasize enough.
Sucks to suck.
So, yeah, pretty much. But instead of going back to Chopper, we instead see what's going on with Ganfor.
He's got a cute little hut.
Yeah, I like this place. He has a pumpkin farm.
Yeah.
What is it about the Japanese and pumpkins in the sky? Because we have it in here, and we also had those pumpkins in Skyward Sword in Zelda.
Huh. Yeah, I wonder if there's a connection there. I don't know, certainly.
Yeah, I have no idea, but it turns out he also rescued Pagaya. So it wasn't just Canis that he rescued. And apparently wherever they're at, Eneru's mantra cannot reach them there. So,
Eneru, it's an interesting little detail.
Yeah, so out of the way. But we get this interesting dialogue where it's just sort of talking between the two, and it's sort of just setting a mood.
Yeah.
Of course, Canis is upset as she just sort of absently plays her harp. But Ganfor starts explaining like, oh yeah, there's people in the Blue Sea known as pirates. And they're generally regarded as criminals who sail the sea in search of plunders. Well, the Straw Hats are probably such people. And he's like, so they were criminals from the start? It's like, well, perhaps outsiders are better terms. Because there are those in every realm who refuse to play by the rules. And aren't you guys basically the same right now? Which I like that they're putting that into perspective. Is like how it...
Yeah, I really love Ganfor's perspective. The way that he's written in this scene.
Yeah, you get that sort of wiseness to him that we didn't quite get, I guess, initially. This is important at some point.
Yeah.
Because he's I too have made friends with pirates. Over 20 years ago when I was still Kami, they came here. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's...
I'll keep my mouth shut for that.
Yeah,
one.
I think I know that one, but I also like that has to be a point.
Yeah. It's not nothing, certainly.
Indeed.
I do like this bit where he says, talking about perspective, where he's like, those whose actions make them heroes in times of war might, under other circumstances, be branded as murderers. And I think that is really just like a lot of what this story is thematically.
Yeah. Because, by our perspective, following the crew, they are heroes more often than not. They've saved so many people, but because they fly the pirate flag and don't follow the government's rules, they're outlaws. So
yeah.
That's rather interesting.
Refuse to play by the rules. Those people.
Indeed. We also get the revelation that even though, like, outside of the Eneru, things have seemed mostly peaceful. Right, there's the guerrillas, who we get a proper name for them, the Shandians. Apparently, the Sky People and the Shandians have been in perpetual war. They still challenge Eneru to this day. And we get that extra bit of lore here from Pagaya. It's like, oh yeah, when you were Kami, you sought to appease them and try to end the hundreds of years of bloodshed. And he's like, I was so close, but then Eneru stole my seat as Kami and accomplished nothing.
This makes so much more sense when you realize why, like, that's why Ganfor was there to save the Straw Hats, like, right when they got attacked by the Shandians, or, one of them.
Yeah. I guess I didn't even think about that, but yeah,
makes sense
right.
It makes sense why he swooped in when he did, because he was probably aware, like, oh, yep, this is a thing that happened, and he's
probably shouldn't allow this to happen.
Right? Yeah, he seems definitely like he regrets it and that he kind of failed.
Mm-hmm. We even get a legend from this, but apparently eons ago, on the day that the sacred Upper Yard was born, a beautiful sound rang out from the island and enveloped the land. It was on that day that the fighting between the Shandians and the Sky People began. And that's why he believes that the next time they hear the song of the island, the bell, the fighting will stop. Yeah, that feels like foreshadowing. We know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like RPGs. There's a legend. Okay, the legend's true.
Yes.
That's just how these things go.
This is definitely some of my favorite stuff in Skype. Getting into like the backstory and the lore and stuff. It's just like all these little nuggets we're getting is super compelling.
Yeah, and I remember some of the nuggets. Like I didn't remember until he brought them up and like, oh yeah, this is what he's talking about. That's good stuff. But then Pierre starts freaking out and he's like, well, duty calls, I gotta go. And off he flies, leaving them all behind. And I don't know, there's something nice about this. The two of them was like, this pumpkin juice is delicious, and indeed it is. I'm glad you like it.
Just kind of sharing a moment, and he's repairing the glider.
Yeah, the waver. So
yeah, the waver.
It's cool to see. He's actually still working on it for them. But then, poor Chopper, poor Mary.
Mary's on fire.
Yeah, the mast is on fire. Chopper's already beat up and lost a tooth. Like, it is not going well for him.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, it's not new. He has to rip off the poor mast and toss it into the clouds because it's just that. And again, Chopper being like, I'm responsible for this ship. I am not going to fail in my duty. And we get to see this Vassals bird, who can apparently breathe fire based on what I'm seeing here, is Riding Rock Fusa. Is his name. And he's just like, well, you don't want me to attack your comrades. You don't want me to destroy your ship, and you don't want to die. You don't leave me with a lot of options. And this is when
he's got a job to do, man.
Yeah, exactly. This is Shura. Good pilot design, I gotta say. I do like this design. Simple but effective.
Yeah, he really. I didn't think about it at first sight, but he totally has like that fighter pilot kind of look to him with the jacket and the scarf and the goggles.
Yeah. It's a fun look.
Yeah, it's cool.
He goes for it. He's like, if you care so much about living, why are you so weak? And Chopper barely dodges it. And that's when we get to reveal that the spear he wields is incredibly hot to the point that it sets the boat on fire.
Melts it.
Yeah.
Man.
Poor Chopper just trying to simultaneously put it out. And then he tries to punch him. And again, because he's just like Satori, where he can predict Chopper's moves. He can't.
It seems like the Vassals probably all have this power.
Yeah, that definitely seems likely at this point, which, not good. Not good. So, Shuri sort of goes over some, let's go some world building, I guess. We'll go with this one. It's like, hey, you're on top of an altar, and your friends are trying to reach this place. And there are 4 areas on this island, each one ruled by a different vassal. So when a target sets foot on one of those areas, the other vassals cannot touch them. That's our rule. The altar, however, is not a part of a domain, and it's considered free game. Of course, before they can come here, they have to. Your friends have to survive their challenges. Chopper's like, oh, so if Luffy reaches here, we'll be able to get away. And it's like, yeah, you'll be free to go, provided you survive the free area, because there's the rules. But an exception got made, because you guys were supposed to stay here, and they left.
Yeah, I love that realization. Chopper's like, it's all Zoro's fault.
Oh, poor Chopper. Basically, like, if one escapes, another must pay with death. There must be a sacrifice. Sacrifice is law. Man, it's a rough fight here. Where he's trying to, and he gets stabbed and set on fire. Like, poor Chopper.
He's crying.
Although I do want to point out, when we get that wide shot of the altar, we do see that the mast is still sticking out of the clouds.
Okay, yeah,
it's like
still there.
Yeah, we haven't lost the mast yet, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah. Jeez, I mean, God, the poor Mary is you're just seeing it all just beaten up.
Just got it fixed up, and now it's getting set on fire. What the heck? But just before the killing blow is laid on Chopper, out comes Ganfor, who,
what an epic save! Like, he's the master of these epic saves,
right? And there's some fantastic posing here. Like,
yeah, the choreography is so sick,
right? Pierre is ridiculously designed, but there's something cool about this old man on this pose, like just getting ready to fight, like, because we're getting basically a lance duel in the air.
Yeah, I totally forgot this fight happened, and I'm just like, this is amazing.
This is
it's awesome.
Forgot about this fight, and this is awesome. Like this, you wouldn't see this with any other character. I like to have this opportunity to have this unique character that
to have Ganfor get a fight. I love that, like, he's Shura's like, there's only only room for one kami on this island, and just like that clash, that mid-air clash in shadow, and there's so many cool panels.
Yeah, it's really fantastic, and we even see that Ganfor has some sort of power.
Yeah, he can do the palm thing.
Yeah, he does the palm thing to him. Although I also love that badass where it nipped his cheek and it just has that sizzle.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Yeah, Ganfor is a badass.
He fights like he's a former kami.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Oh, it's so cool.
Oh, it's really good. It also provides an interesting set here where Shura seems to be pretty evenly matched right now. And Kami was the former Kami. How strong is an Eneru?
Right. If he can just kind of take on one of his vassals, like, pretty handily.
Yeah. And, well, we see a demonstration
that probably implies that I would imagine Eneru's far above all of his vassals at this point, basically.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Doesn't bode well.
Nope, does not. But, hey, that blow makes Chopper excited. It's like, yes, go Sky Knight, and there's our chapter. But, hey, the SBS provides us some details on some more characters, because we find out that Smoker's birthday, because of course, of a fan suggestion, Smoker's birthday is March 14th, White Day, and Hina's birthday is March 3rd, Girls' Day. So,
yeah,
there we go.
Sense.
They're also, Smoker's 34 and she is 32. They joined the Navy at the same time, but he was never really good at listening to superior's orders, but Hina thankfully got him out of trouble a lot of the time. So,
that tracks.
Yeah, like that's a pretty good bag. Everything said there just makes complete sense from the characterization we've seen so far.
Yeah, you really get the vibe from Smoker and Hina that they're kind of like old friends.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way that they deal with each other is just kind of, he's just like, whatever.
Yeah,
he doesn't care.
Also, I personally appreciate that I don't believe Luffy or the others ever called Smoker an old man, because I know in the 30s, the Japanese people sometimes refer to him as old men, and I'm, as someone in their 30s, thank you, Oda. Appreciate this.
Smoker, And maybe it's just because of the white hair. He does look a lot older than 34.
That is true. That is true.
But at the same time, like, One Piece has some of the most badass old people I've ever seen in a shonen manga. And I mean, we just saw Ganfor just, kicking all kinds of butt.
How long ago we had Kureha, who's 100 and something.
Yeah. Yeah. Perhaps the oldest and most badass.
That is true. All right. Well, let's get to chapter 249, The Village Hidden in the Cloud, which immediately made me laugh because I'm like, that's a Naruto reference.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
Oh gosh.
This isn't a ninja village I've ever heard of.
Right. That's a little different. Although I have to admit, I legit enjoyed this panel for Wapple.
Yeah.
The Chomp Chomp Factory playing on the dry riverbed among the trash. If only for one thing. And it's like this build up that I just kind of like got a kick out of. The dog that's been constantly peeing on him? He ate him and combined him with one of the toys. You see that thing in the bottom right with the giant eyes?
I didn't.
That's the dog.
Oh, that's funny. I hadn't thought about that. You're so right.
I'm like, okay, it's kind of dark, but also kind of funny because this dog's just been peeing on him this entire time.
That's a little funny.
Yeah,
I'll accept that.
That's a pretty good gag. The other toys are like whatever, but the dog thing got me good. Anyway, getting into it, Chopper's still cheering for the Sky Knight, who got a good hit on Shura, and his bird is able to catch him and the lance, which good bird on that one.
I love the top panel on the second page of the chapter where it's just like them both flying around the altar with like over the clouds. It's just really cool.
Yeah,
honestly.
There is so much dynamism in a lot of these poses, and it's just fun. And
yeah,
I like that we have Chopper here just as sort of a cheerleader at this point, and
yeah, just in complete awe. We
find out which challenge Shura would have been the string challenge. We don't know why it's the string challenge yet, but it's the string challenge. So, but time to go away from the fight to a new character who's a young girl who's bouncing along the clouds and looks around and finds a specific spot that she's able to jump through, and ta-da! We get the Shandian Hidden Cloud Village, the village hidden in the clouds, which is very Native American inspired.
Yeah, it's one thing. I mean, as we'll see here with this chapter, like I remembered that the Shandians were like Native American inspired, but like it didn't hit me just like how cool all of their designs are. Yeah,
there's a fun sense to it. I also I didn't notice it the first time, but they have like beanstalks behind them, like these giant beanstalks. Like there's that kind of classic sense. And I don't think we even get this character's name that sort of like talks to this girl who we learn her name is Isa. And I don't know, there's something about this design that just makes him look cool. Maybe it's the shades. Might be the shades.
Oh, it's Kamakiri is his name.
Oh, Kamakiri. Oh, right. We did get a name for him. I'm used to the little text box that comes up. I was like, yes, this character is Kamakiri, but we didn't get that. But apparently this girl, Isa, was in the upper yard collecting Vars in her bag, or, the land of the upper yard. It's like, it's my problem. But you guys couldn't even beat Eneru. He's like, that Brett, tell the truth. He's like, shining the knife.
Yeah, I was like, the way that this is sort of like the knife kind of sparkles as she's running off. I'm like, oh dear.
And the vein is like, hey, you hit a nerve.
Yeah.
We're getting a meeting in one of the TPs. I guess we're going to go with TP. And they're talking about how Ganfor has returned to the upper yard. He still believes he can bring peace to the floating islands. Like, he's wrong. Their only options are victory or defeat. The only way this ends is through war. We get the introduction of another one of the Shandians. The great warrior Kalgura's final orders were bring back the light of Shandora, and that's what we're going to do. And that's when we meet the Shandian warrior Wiper, which, considering he's holding a bazooka, and we saw the bull mask in the previous page, I'm pretty sure this is our guy.
It's probably him, yeah. And
yeah.
What a design, too.
He's badass.
I always liked this guy. He's so cool.
Yeah, I really like this design. And honestly, all the Shandians have great designs like this.
Yeah, they really, really do.
Like the two guys we see down below him are just kind of a wider face, but they're also just kind of weirdly cool despite, being a kind of a bigger shape or whatever. I don't know. There's something about it. and he's like, hey, doesn't matter if it's Eneru or Ganfor. Those who rule under the title of kami and their followers are our enemies. So all of them must be destroyed.
All right, we're gonna go kill God.
Yeah, it's time to take out God, one way or the other. And we get this woman that's part of this whole thing as well, saying that, hey, someone on Angel Island actually divided Eneru. It's the first time since this has ever happened since he took power 6 years ago. So we're getting actually time frames now. So Eneru's only been in power for 6 years. Of course, Wiper doesn't really care. Whatever. Like, he saved her. Now he's a criminal by Eneru now. So whatever.
It's interesting. I mean, the way that he just sort of writes it all off is just like, like, are you insisting that Ganfor shouldn't be considered an enemy? Like, this is sort of the part where we're getting into. We have like sort of multiple perspectives, and everybody kind of has their own goal, and you really start to see that come together where you have. Wiper here just kind of like, he doesn't care what's going on like with Ganfor or Eneru or whatever, just like he's ready for a fight.
Yeah. And that is a key point here, which I think pays off brilliantly later on.
Yeah, for sure.
Because...
And just the idea that like they're kind of like this whole society's been at war, but like over in Angel Island, like they're kind of like removed from it, and so maybe they don't think about it, and like this part of the society is at peace,
right?
But here you kind of have a whole hidden society that is they are at war.
Yeah, you have a society that's at peace, but also ruled over by a kami that will kill them if his rules are not followed.
Yeah,
not so great there. And
a little bit of fascism,
Oh yeah,
as it goes.
Just a little bit. So yeah, I like these clear lines in the sand that we're getting as we go through here. Yeah.
In a way, it's kind of like a different twist on what we saw in Alabasta. Like,
yeah,
I definitely get Koza vibes from Wiper for sure, but like he's kind of his own flavor.
Yeah, and cooler than Koza, let's be honest.
Yeah, and cooler, and does ends up playing a much larger role. But the sort of idea of like we had already seen like what a really like a big scale war looked like in the world of One Piece, and we're kind of just like we're at it again.
Yeah, it's there. It seems a little bit smaller in scale this time, just because there's only so many people up in the sky. But yeah, it's just been ongoing for a while, rather than trying to prevent this war. It's a war that's been happening.
Yeah, they kind of like, oh, we found ourselves in another one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get this woman's name. Her name's Rocky, Raki. I'm going to presume it's pronounced Rocky,
yeah,
or whatever. And he's just like, hey, just because we share a common foe doesn't make us allies. And that is, he does not describe the enemy of my enemy as my friend. It is just, no, you're all enemies.
Yeah.
And we see Isa sort of, she was peeking on this, and like, I'm going to be away there, because the guy in this weird hat is like, yeah, you don't want to go there. He's really mad right now, and we get the reveal
that panel of him. He's got a gun.
Yeah,
just that pose is so cool.
Eating meat. Yeah, it's a good look. Plus, we get the reveal that Wiper is the descendant of Kagura, who definitely our great warrior. That's all for that, and then we get these two panels that come and go. We get nothing more of these in this.
I have no idea what this is. What this is about.
Yeah, where Robin's inspecting a well and is like, this is very odd. Nature and civilization are totally out of whack, because whoever built this couldn't have known that a tree would grow like this. It's very, very odd. I like this research. I like this. Like, ooh, let's learn. Meanwhile, Nami's up top on climbing one of the trees, and she spots something, and she just says, "This island, no way." I'm like, okay, what is it?
I have no idea.
We get nothing.
Nope. Oh man, there's been so much happening. I kind of thought that was the end of the chapter for a second.
Right. It feels like it could be the end of the chapter, but no, we got more of Ganfor versus Shura. And man, again, these strikes as they like jump off their birds in order to like thrust their lances at each other.
This is one of the most underrated fights in all of One Piece.
Right.
Like, this is I'm just legit like this is maybe one of my favorites.
It's so kinetic, and the way it's displayed as being kinetic, like you see the swirls and the clashes, like it's almost like a Dragon Ball fight.
Yeah, you don't really get like just mid-air fights in One Piece.
No, it's you always have to use the land, and so oh man, it's a lot of fun. Chopper's getting more and more nervous. We got a roar from Ganfor and Shura, and he just goes for it. He gets this good. He tries to get this good hit on Shura, which seems to manage it. All the while, we're getting like little bits of other people. We get of Canis. We get of the people of the village looking at where Heaven's Punishment hit, where they tried to kill
a big
Canis.
old hole.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, Ganfor's like, my body feels heavy. What's up with this? And Shura did something that he can't move his body anymore. We get these little flashbacks, and again, we don't get an explanation because Shura's just like, "Hey, you're about to die. You don't need an answer."
Yeah, like, okay.
And that page turn where he just pierces Ganfor in the chest, sets him on fire.
Painful, but it's such a kind of just like a brilliant illustration. Like,
oh yeah,
it looks amazing. It's just like, ooh,
yeah, it's definitely rough. Even the former kami can't stand up to the vassals. That is not a good sign. Sky Knight falls, and that is not it. Eneru is all powerful is basically what it comes down to. Which,
yeah,
yeah,
indeed. Yeah, man. What did it? Bummer about how it ends, but I'm just enthralled. I'm floored. That was such a good fight.
Oh man, it was fantastic fight. Some interesting lore bits in there. Like there was a solid 2 chapters, and just again the way Oda sets up these little things, it's really good.
Yeah.
In the SBS though, I love the continuing developments of, I don't know why, but the Doisekoi Panda.
Yeah, the clothing brand, and now we have a counterfeit.
Yeah, because somebody pointed out that there's somebody that showed up in the background after Bellamy got beat up with a Cyber Panda logo, which I didn't even notice. And he points out that Cyber Panda is a knockoff of Doisekoi Panda, and that it's even more expensive than the original. So be careful.
I love this clothing brand piracy we have going on here.
Right? We're getting lore on these clothing brands and whatnot. We also get Tomato Gang that shows up near Panda Man, which, okay. It's just weird.
Just some good old silliness.
Yep. Fun silliness. Well, let's get to chapter 250. And we had a Naruto reference last time. Time for a Dragon Ball reference, this time with Ball Dragon.
This manga's so silly sometimes.
Yeah, it really is. But hey, in Wapple, the kids find all the toys that he made with his I forget what it's called, but yeah, that he made, including the dog, and the kids are delighted.
That's weirdly wholesome.
It is very weirdly wholesome. It's like, all right, well, at least they're enjoying that. And then,
yeah, stay far away from that stinky old man.
I swear to God, if he uses kids and the light of children to make this man redeemed in some way, I will be impressed.
I will never accept a redemption from Wappo. You can't make it happen. Don't make it a thing.
We will see. Is all I'll say. I have no idea, but I'm like, I'm with you, but I'm also like, if anybody could do this, I bet Oda could do it.
Yeah.
Is he going to do it? We get the results of that fight. Ganfor, got pierced. He got set on fire. And then he falls into clouds, which, sets him off. He's not on fire anymore. Chopper's like, oh boy, I got to save him because there's sharks in there. And Chopper immediately dives in after him. It's like, wait, are you crazy? You're a Zoan too, aren't you? And that's when Pierre's like, oh no. And he's like, all right, you're a Zoan too. And he attacks Pierre and sends him into the clouds.
Oh, it's not going great for our heroes here.
Nope. Not going well over here. So, yep. He's like, well, waste of my time. And hey, if the river were bottomless, perhaps they'd stand a chance of surviving. But this river does have a bottom. So I wonder if the other 3 escapees have been captured yet. And he leaves. But also, I have a bit of a prediction on how they survive this.
Let's hear it, because I have no memory.
Really?
Of
okay.
How.
Because I've been noticing subtly. Because I don't remember exactly, but I've been noticing some subtle things here and there that that Otis had in. And I pointed out before, the mast is still in the water.
Oh.
And even when Chopper leaps after the Sky Knight, you can see just a little bit of the top of the mast next to a Sky Shark.
Yeah. Oh, I see it. Yeah.
I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure that's how they're going to survive this. So that's
Mary with the save yet again.
Man, right? But I also like how Oda just planted that, had like set that all up just to have that save
we'll
ready.
see if that's how that turns out. I mean, that would be really smart.
Yeah, I'd be down for it. But yeah, we're back to Satori, and he has created a ball dragon out of all of his balls, which is weird.
It's kind of like it's like a Chinese dragon, like the kind you would see at like a festival.
Yeah, it's a Chinese dragon, but it has the horns kind of like Dragon Ball.
Yeah, like Shinron.
Yeah, Shenron, yeah. So, interesting there. But yeah, Sanji's down, Usopp's down because of all the scares that he keeps getting from all the balls popping out.
Yeah, it's like he's definitely taken damage, but there's some psychological damage going on here too.
Right. And Luffy is standing back up again, and he's like, all the while Satori's just taunting him. It's like, wander the forest until you die, exhaust your strength and waste away. Luffy's like, nope, not gonna happen, and sends after the ball dragon after him. And he's like, well, what is it going to be? My dragon's made of some that are filled with blades, other with explosives, and there's one special fireball that will set off the entire chain reaction.
It's kind of gambling here.
Yeah. And Usopp sees this and it's like, okay, this is my chance. Luffy, you take care of it. And he runs off, which, at this point, I'm not fooled by the whole like, oh, Usopp's abandoning him. It's like, okay,
yeah.
He didn't even cross my mind.
He's not. He's up to something.
But I also love Luffy running from the dragon, running up a tree, and jumping backwards because he noticed that there's a bit of a string attached to the cane that Satori has. So he's like, let's see how tough it is when I cut it. And he just snaps the rope, holds on to it as Satori tries to bring him back to it, and try to pull a Scorpion with get over here. And he's like, no, you're supposed to let go of the other rope. Luffy and the dragon strike with Satori, and just a massive explosion. I love the aftermath with all the axes and knives embedded everywhere. There's a tree just blown up.
Oh, man.
And Satori's just like, I survived.
No other manga. Yeah.
Right. He's like, I can't let it. I lost control of the situations, and if I let things like that get to me, it will interfere with my mantra, which again is really interesting. There, it's like apparently it's a concentration thing.
Yep.
Apparently it did mess with his mantra because turns out Luffy survived, and
he's just right behind him. You see him holding on to him.
Yeah. And that's when we see Usopp, he got up on top of the trees, and he's like, oh, hey, I found the boat, because it might wind all around this forest, but there's only one exit. It has to go up high. So yeah, there it is. So we don't have to actually worry about this. It doesn't matter. We'll just go take care of him, get everybody, and we'll get out of here. It's
kind of a fun reveal of like, it's sort of like he was messing with you,
Yeah. It's definitely easy to get lost, lose the forest for the trees, I guess is the better word.
Yeah.
And okay, we don't have to worry about this anymore. I love this. Time for Sanji to shine. It's like, all right, hang on to him, Luffy. He's like, all right, Dumpling, I keep hearing about this challenge and all that. I don't care about your rules. I'm out to rescue some damsels, so this is my love challenge. And he's like, oh God, he's crazy too.
Yeah. It's fun when Sanji gets to style on the villain.
And especially when the villain, cool. Like Satori, now that he's in this situation, is completely caught by Luffy. He's like,
I just noticed like Luffy has like his legs wrapped around him.
Oh yeah.
Like
Satori's not going anywhere at this point.
Oh, man.
And he immediately screams like, no, it's 2 against 1. This is unfair. He's like, no, you kidnapped my friends. You made the angels cry, and you tried to kill them. So you're the coward. And it's like, might be pretty handy to predict our moves, but you're not moving anywhere now.
Yeah.
He just goes over this whole recipe for sealing in flavors. And he's like, no, if you lay a hand on me, you'll be a class 1 offense, and you'll be declaring war on the almighty Eneru. And he's like, nah, don't care.
Yeah, but just...
He winds up, and he's like, no, I'm not good with pain. And we get the end with that massive boot to the head, thanks to Sanji.
So satisfying.
Oh, it's so good to see him
breaking
just take
his glasses in half. Just
yeah.
And it's interesting too with with Satori as kind of like is sort of the like lowest on our villain rung here, where he kind of like once his plan kind of quite literally blew up in his face. Like he was kind of done.
Yeah.
At that point, or he's just like, after that he kind of had nothing.
Right. It was interesting because he seemed relatively powerful, but he was also able to dodge their attacks. And as soon as they were able to actually land those attacks, that's when the playfield was evened out. So I think that's smart on Oda's part to just, how are they doing this? Well, we don't know yet. That's going to be the challenge of actually beating these vassals.
Yeah.
So,
and it makes them get creative, which is really fun.
We get a proper team up. We don't see that. We do see it kind of often, but it's still fun to see like Luffy and Sanji have to work together to take out this guy. I like it. It's a fun set of chapters, and we get an SBS where just Oda points out that when characters don't appear too often, the actors of the Straw Hats will voice random animals in the show.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
It's funny that Karoo is voiced by Sanji.
Yeah. And Eyelashes is voiced by Usopp.
That's great. It's just great.
Yeah. So, yeah, a really fun set of chapters. Really enjoyed it. One vassal down. I assume that Satori's not coming back at this point.
Yeah, 3 more to go. And 2 more to be introduced, really.
Yeah,
properly.
really. And really just laying groundwork in so many places. Like, I'm legit, like, we got that action, but we're also like, what are the mysteries of this place? That's I think another part of the fun of this is like he just keeps peeling back these layers of Sky Island.
Oda knows everything about how this is all going to play out, and just the little bits and pieces of hints that we get is just it has me on the edge of my seat. Yeah. Somebody who remembers so little of it. Like, where's this all going?
Yeah.
And also, we hit chapter 250.
Yeah, chapter 250. We are officially kind of a quarter of the way through.
Yeah. If you round down.
I mean, I don't know what a quarter. It's even. It's nice and even at this point. We may have another 70 plus chapters now, but whatever.
Yeah. 1,000-ish. If you round down to 1,000, then we're quarter.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Feels like time flew by.
It really did. So, yeah, I believe with that, we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 246 to 250 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube, or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. I don't have a whole lot going on that's really of interest. Just, follow me if you want to see more of my ramblings.
Sounds good. And hey, if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 251 to 255 of One Piece. Until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
Stop, I said! Are you listening? How dare you disobey me? I'm a priest in God's service! Not being judged by me is a first-degree crime in Skypiea! Let me go! Now listen here! Attacking me means you declare war on the almighty God Eneru!
I got a question. Do you ever cook? Well, you don't have to be a chef to know which dish is best served cold.